as I'm working on the modelling team, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of talk about uncertainty in modelling approaches, and it's really informed the discussion and the debate on climate change since, especially since 2000, when the fourth assessment report from IPCC came out. And that's very valid. It's very important that those understandings about how certain we are, what kind of confidence we have, where these errors and assumptions come in, and what kind of influence that they are having. That's very important that that's being discussed. But having said that, we do have a system where we have, for the globe now, something like 24 global circulation models, with a few new ones being developed. So we've got a lot of different approaches addressing the same problem, and there is uncertainty, but there is also some agreement. There's some important points of agreement between all of these different approaches, different scenarios, different GCMs. And I think for the Mekong Basin, the studies that have been done in the basin, they do show some important clear trends that we can be quite confident of. And I think first of those trends is that the wet seasons will be getting wetter in the Mekong Basin in general, and that's an important finding for the Mekong, because it is a monsoonal system.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that 80-90% of the rainfall is falling in the wet season due to two monsoon effects, the combination of two monsoon effects. And so if those wet seasons are getting wetter, then the overall rainfall in the year is also increasing. What happens in the dry season is a little less clear. There's a little bit less agreement between the different models, but I think we can be fairly confident that the variability between the dry and the wet season is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's because the wet season is increasing and the dry season is not increasing as much, or the wet season is increasing and the dry season is decreasing, there's less agreement on that between the modelling, but there is agreement that the wet season is wetter and the variability between the seasons is increasing. That has important implications for the Mekong Basin, because you have these very distinct seasonal environments, and if they're becoming more distinct, it affects how the terrestrial areas of the floodplain convert to aquatic areas during the flood season, how long they stay aquatic areas, and how rapid they change to aquatic areas. All of these things affect not just the natural systems, but the farming systems which rely on those waters, or on managing those waters for their productivity. So I think there's a long way to go before we can fully say that we really understand what the implications of climate change will be for the Mekong Basin, but there are starting to be some clear trends.